But if you think about it, if I'm giving you love to get love, it's like I'm giving you money and you're giving me a pair of jeans. That's a transaction. And love is
Right.
not a transaction. God is love. In John, it says that God is love. So if God is love, not God loves, he does, but it says God is love. And we're created in his image. So if God is love, we are love. We are love. And so to understand what that means, so the whole two-way street, you have no control over anyone.
That's the voice of Kim Sorrelle, author of the book Love Is, a year-long experiment of living out 1 Corinthians 13 love. Sorrelle is the executive director of Rays of Hope International, with a focus on helping isolated villages in Africa, small mountain communities in Haiti, and squatter neighborhoods in the Dominican Republic. In this podcast, Kim Sorrelle and I explore the meaning of 1 Corinthians 13 and how much Christians need to share love in a hurting, divided society. I'm Cecil Taylor of Cecil Taylor Ministries, teaching Christians how to live a 7-day practical faith. Everything I do, whether blogs, books, or videos, is about taking our faith from Sunday into the rest of the week, applying scripture and faith to life situations. I'm also interested in children and parents, as I've written a book entitled Unison Parenting, the comprehensive guide to navigating Christian parenthood with one voice. You can find more about the book and a special online sale in the podcast notes, as well as much more about my ministry and how it can help you. In the Practical Faith Academy podcast, I add other voices with other life experiences to understand how they put faith into practice. Please subscribe to my podcast according to your listening platform's instructions. I welcome your comments and your sharing of this podcast with others. Kim Sorrelle wrote a book, Love Is, that I saw a couple of years ago in a bookstore, and I bought it and I put it on my short list of books I want to read, and then I kept failing at it. So this spring, Kim approached me about appearing on the podcast, and I thought, I know that name and I know that book. So we lined up the podcast, and I found the book on my shelf. I've used this interview as a driver to read a good bit of Love Is. And wow, what stories Kim has to tell. And they serve to illustrate great ideas about putting faith into practice. So after that long introduction, I will finally welcome Kim to the podcast. Kim, thanks for being here.
Oh, my word. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this. And for all of your listeners, I love your podcast. Everyone should have it at the top of their list and listen to it every time. It's so good. You do an amazing job. You're an amazing host.
Oh,
So
thank you
thanks
so
for having
much. Well, now I have to live up to it. But thank you. I appreciate that. So you'll know then my favorite question to start off with is when I say 7-day practical faith, which is what my ministry is about, what does that mean to you?
It means that faith is everything. That faith, it's not like it's something that you hang up in the closet when you get home from church, but that it's a part of you. It's how you live. It's how you breathe. It's who you are. And so it's 7 days, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I mean, it is you.
For our listeners, I want to say that phrase, like, it's not something you hang in the closet. This is the kind of writing that Kim has. I love the way she does word pictures in her book. And so you get a little illustration of that just in that comment right there. It's not something you hang in the closet and put back on next Sunday, right? You need to be doing it every day. I love it. So your stated vision is to change the world through the power of love. What would that realized vision look like?
Well, there are so many things about love that we've been taught that are not true. They're not real about love. And so there's these myths about love that because we think they're true, because we've been taught them, we live a certain way. And if we knew the truth about love and then lived love, life is so much different and it's so freeing. And really love is our only job, right? I mean, basically don't judge and love everybody. I mean, that's really all we have to do. And when it came down to it, that's what Jesus said, just love everybody, and then you'll be doing it right. And so if love is your only job, then do it the right way. And yes, I really believe it is love that will change the world.
What are some of the misconceptions about love?
Well, you often hear love is a two-way street, right? That you got to give love to get love, that kind of a thing, or love is 50-50. You might hear that, or 100-100, whatever number people want to put on it. But if you think about it, if I'm giving you love to get love, it's like I'm giving you money and you're giving me a pair of jeans. That's a transaction. And love is
Right.
not a transaction. God is love. In John, it says that God is love. So if God is love, not God loves, he does, but it says God is love. And we're created in his image. So if God is love, we are love. We are love. And so to understand what that means, so the whole two-way street, you have no control over anyone. You bring a baby home from the hospital and you decide when that baby eats, when that baby sleeps, when that baby has a bath. You're in total control of that infant's life. But then 6, 7, 8 months later, all your Tupperware is all over the kitchen floor, pots and pans are banging, and you realize you have lost all control. And I promise you, you will never get it back again. Right?
That's so true.
Yeah. So if we're doing love, if we're giving love to get love, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment and heartache because it might not come back the way you expect, right? And
Right.
and you have no control if it does come back or how it does come back. And so it's not a two-way street. Love is on you, period.
That reminds me of my grandfather. He gave me marriage advice, and he said, and I didn't really understand it because he didn't explain it, but he said, love isn't 50-50, it's 60-40. And at the time, I didn't really understand what he meant, but I understood over time, he's saying exactly what you're saying. You give more. You worry about what you're giving, not necessarily how much you're getting back, not the transactional balance. You also mentioned in the book this line about God is love, and it made me think that wherever love is, then God is present. Does that kind of resonate with you?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes, absolutely. That's so good. I love that you put it that way because it's true. And love should be everywhere because again, it's our job, right? It's all we're supposed to do. But so it should be everywhere and God is everywhere. But yes, I mean, when you are living love, there is no doubt you feel the presence of God in a different way.
I'm with Kim Sorrelle here on the Practical Faith Academy podcast. And Kim, my followers have heard me say this time after time, and that's that love is the messiest thing I've ever been involved with. How do you find love to be messy?
Well, the only time I think love is messy is really kind of going back to when it's misunderstood.
Mm.
Because like if a couple gets married, right? I mean, you can't wait to say I do at the altar. You can't wait to spend the rest of your life together. You love that person so deeply and you've demonstrated your love. They've demonstrated it back, whatever, you love each other. And then you go on a honeymoon and you're all happy. And then you get home and he leaves his dirty socks on the living room floor. And you're thinking, who is this Neanderthal that I married? Like, what did I do? What is wrong with this guy? Do I even love him? Well, yes, you love him is the point, is you love him. You might not love the things that he does, but you can train him. You can work with that. It's just socks on the floor. It's okay. And so you have to separate the what somebody does from who the person is.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Now, I think another place where it maybe gets messy is in all the knots that are in you base the book on the love chapter of Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13, and love is this, but a lot of times love is not is in there as well. And you talk about, I was just rereading today about how self-seeking and how that is a struggle that we can have. I kind of think that's when love gets messy, right? Is when we don't fit love perfectly and we're doing kind of the opposites of what's in 1 Corinthians 13.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that that's true because yes, there's the do's and the don'ts, right? And the do's seem so obvious, patient, kind, right? And they seem obvious, but they're so different when I dove into it than what I thought I was going to discover. But the don'ts are tough. because, love doesn't easily anger. Well, there's going to be times you get angry. So what
Oh
does it
yeah.
mean not to easily anger, right? Or love keeps no record of wrongs. Oh my gosh, that was the hardest one for me, was love keeps no record of wrongs. Because you might forgive somebody, but you don't forget the things that happened to you. So I went into that month going, oh my word, what does this even mean? So yeah, you're right. The don'ts are tough.
And I wonder, in certain ones, like love is not self-seeking. There's this balance between having boundaries, right? And then also giving and being focused on giving. And that's one where I think it's tough. The example you gave in the book is where somebody was working for you and actually went off, and this is in Haiti and it was a little different culture and everything, but they actually went off and started working for somebody else while they're on your paycheck. And it's so it can sound self-seeking to say, hey, I'm paying you to do this. And yet they were trying to expand themselves and expand their care for others and so forth. So that's just one example. What I'm really trying to get at is where's the limitation where love is too much and you have to have boundaries? Where do you see that?
Well, I think boundaries are important. I mean, I think sometimes love is misunderstood in that, like, sometimes there's something happening in a relationship that is not healthy, right? Like, if someone's being abused, if someone's being abused emotionally or physically, the best thing I believe love would say, walk away. Because
Mm.
if you stay, you're allowing that person to remain in the same patterns, right? And just stay in that behavior and not giving them space to change. And walking away is really loving them the best way possible. So having boundaries is love. Love, absolutely. You need to have boundaries. There are times when you can feel stampled on. You feel like you give, and then everything is sucked out of you. I don't know if you've had times like that, right? Like, there's somebody in your life that just sucks everything out of you. Well, if they're sucking everything out of you emotionally and physically and in every way, uh, love probably has taken a second seat, maybe crawled into the backseat of the car, because none of that really has anything to do with love. It has to do with boundaries and knowing when you're being pushed too far or too much is expected of you, or the relationship isn't healthy. I mean, there are unhealthy relationships, and like I said, love would say walk away. You don't have to stay in unhealthy relationships.
I'm with Kim Sorrelle, and Kim, this is very profound what you just said, because I think it's a different way of talking about tough love, right? We talk about that idea of tough love, but you're kind of saying that the other person can't flourish if they're not held to account. Like in my parenting book, Unison Parenting, I'm talking about how to do this, you really have to hold each other accountable to the standards that you agreed upon when you started parenting. And if you don't hold each other to account, it can all start spinning out of control. And I think you're saying the same thing in a love relationship, that you do need to still hold each other to account, and there's some love behind that.
Yeah, 100%. And yes, your book is so good. And yes, when you're in relationship as parents, it's so much healthier and so much more fun parenting when you parent together, right? When you're
Right.
not constantly fighting each other. Well, my parents did it this way, or his parents did it that way, whatever. But when you can actually do it together. And the same thing with your marriage or a partnership, whatever it is, when you can, when you work on it together, it's so much healthier and so much more enjoyable when you're in it together.
Kim Sorrell's outstanding award-winning book, Love Is, has a chapter in it, Kim, that just resonated with me so much. It was the chapter on love does not boast. And as you got towards the end of that, you took the approach that our prideful boasting diminishes others and increases division, and that the need to boast is an integral source of the divisions in our country. I am finding more and more people who are truly on both sides of whatever aisle you want to choose, are really getting sick of the divisions, yet they don't know how to get back together. So, could you elaborate on this idea of the boasting aspect, the pride aspect, and how it interferes with love?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked this question because you're absolutely right. I mean, we're polarized in so many ways. I think a lot of the reason that we are is because of labels that we put on people, right? Like people might say, well, I love everybody, but those darn Democrats or those silly Republicans, right? Well, then you don't love everybody. You don't love everybody. If you truly love everybody, you recognize the person, not the club they belong to, not their affiliation, not the country they're born in, not anything else about them. You recognize that they are a child of God created in his image. And the other things are labels that we put on people. And that's where the danger comes in is when we label people, put people into some sort of a category. And when we do that, we're saying, well, that I don't like that particular label. You know, like some labels might be nice. You might say, well, they're beautiful, or I don't know, whatever label you want to put on somebody, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of labels that are demeaning, or in your head they are, right? So if you're of one political party and they are in another political party and that's how you label them, then you're saying, I'm better than they are. And the minute you say, I'm better than they are, I'm better than anyone, then that is not love. There is no love there. That is not love because love does not elevate you above anybody else.
And I think the importance of relationship is there because this is why people will say, well, I don't like those people, but I like him or I like her. It's because they actually know those people. And then when they just take a broad brush to it, that's when we start to have our problems, it seems like. Now, I realize there are many people who have very intimate personal problems with each other when they disagree. But I think there's something to it also saying, I want to be smarter than them. I want to be better than them. And it affects me. One thing that I don't know how much you do this, Kim, but in my profession, I guess, as an author, I am encountering people that have a lot of different theological views, a lot of different political views, and you actually do see where you agree on most things. There are the 10% that we get divided upon, but when you're talking to them the whole time, you realize that we really agree on a lot of things. Is that what you see, and how can we get beyond that last bit where we have the pride and our stubbornness that is in there?
Well, yeah. I love that you just said that because it's so true. When you get to know somebody, it changes everything, right? So if they were a they in a certain category with a certain label that you put on them, and all of a sudden you're having lunch with them and enjoying the conversation, then you're like, well, gosh, are they an anomaly within the they, or are they all like this, whatever. And so when you do, though, get to know people, you realize we have so much more in common than not. We are so much more alike than not. And the differences are beautiful. Like the differences are wonderful. Like it creates great conversation. But that's what it should be, is conversation, not confrontation. And so love would also say, you can believe whatever you want. That's on you. Because if you think about it, you know, you really don't change people's minds much, right? I mean, if
That's
you're in
right.
conversation and they have an opinion, you have an opinion, if you can have a conversation about it, that's great. And you might go, oh wow, that's a great point. I never thought of that before. They might say that. But chances are good you're not changing anybody, right? And so the arguments especially don't change anybody. They make people drag their feet even more, like just get their feet in the ground and not budge, not move, right? And so if you can have conversations around the things that you believe differently, you see differently in the world, and stay away from confrontations, it opens the world to you. it opens up everybody to you, all people in all nations and all over the earth. And how wonderful is that? How much better is that? How much better can it get than that?
Well, Kim, you've hit on something here that I really believe in that we need to get into a little bit, and that is, I think we make a mistake by trying to change minds. What we do is change hearts. And we don't change hearts by browbeating people. We change hearts, whether it's an atheist you're trying to bring to Christ, whether it's somebody who has a particular political stance where they don't see the harm that's being done to some individuals or whatever as a result of that stance, that what we do is we change the heart. The hardest thing in the world to change is a mind, but changing a heart is something that's softer but more profound, I think. What do you think of this idea of changing minds versus changing hearts?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. Yeah, minds you don't change. I mean, very rarely does somebody change their mind. But yes, changing hearts. But I think changing hearts sometimes we think of doing it the same way as we try to change somebody's mind, and that just never seems to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Right.
they'll know we are Christians by our love, right? That they will know who we are by the way we treat other people and the way we love, truly love other people. And if you think about it, like I think about the people I want to hang out with, that I gravitate toward, and you think, well, what's the common denominator? Why do you gravitate toward those people? Chances are it's because they love people. They love people and they're living that. So they're not judging, they're not boasting, they're not prideful. They're not the things that love is not supposed to be. And they are kind and they are patient and they are the things love is supposed to be. And those are the best people to hang out with, I think. Like I have a hard time hanging out with somebody negative. People are allowed to be, again, like, live your life. It's your life. I believe that is, I want freedom to live how I believe God created me to live and be who I believe God created me to be. I feel like I need to pass that freedom on to other people and say, you can be who you want and live however you believe God created you to live. Do it. Just do it. But when you treat people with kindness and you treat people in love, then that's attractive, and that I think is the way that hearts change.
I'm going to shift away from this theme of love to the theme of boldly living out your faith. And you're the executive director of Rays of Hope International, which works to bring essentials and more to impoverished communities. And your book describes a lot of adventures in doing so, including a stare down with Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez over the delivery of medical supplies. So I was like, that's bold. But what advice do you have for our listeners about boldly living out their faith, even right where they are today?
You know, it can be easy when you're not confident in yourself, when you don't love yourself enough, when you don't recognize how you should feel about yourself. It can be easy to be in a group of people and maybe they're saying things you totally disagree with or you totally don't want to go along with, but you do because you're kind of swayed and you kind of feel funny about it, or whatever it is. Boldly living out your faith means that you do just that. Like, where your foundation is, let your foundation shine. Let Jesus shine through you. And so if there's an uncomfortable situation that you're in, and you can walk away, or you can just say, hey, this isn't a conversation for me. Like, I just don't see things that way. You don't have to be mean or anything, but yes, but stand up for what you believe is living out your faith boldly. Like, truly, don't let people sway you into uh, doing something that's against what you believe in, against who you are. Like, just be you. Allow yourself to be you, and then walk it out.
Walk it. Yeah. I like that line. What's your best tip for developing and maintaining a 7-day practical faith?
Now, I would say figure out first what faith means to you. What is your faith? Because if you don't know for sure, if you don't know what it looks like, it's awful hard to walk out. And I think one thing to recognize is that we are created in God's image. We're created in His image, and I sometimes think of like if the Mona Lisa went up for sale, who knows how much Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or whoever would pay for it, right? Millions of dollars, right? And it's because it's a one of a kind masterpiece, right? Well, so are you. There's never been anybody like you. There never will be anybody like you. You are a one of a kind masterpiece. And I think when you recognize that in yourself and that you let love start within, then it's so much easier to then go, okay, then what is my faith? Now that I know who I am, that I'm a child of God created in His image, and I am a one of a kind masterpiece. Now that I know that, now what is my faith? What is my faith? And when you know it, it should be very easy to walk it out. Because if it's truly who you are, again, you don't hang it up. It's always with you.
Right. You're a one-of-a-kind creation, and you have a one-of-a-kind faith in a way, right? That will lead you to what you need to do. Not everybody is called to go to Haiti, although I love that you are, right? But other people are called to go other places, or sometimes it's just right exactly where you are, where you are today. Your faith is needed right there. So everybody figuring out how to apply their uniqueness into the world and into the situations they're put in. I like the way you've described that. So I want our listeners to know more about how they can follow you and find your book and the books that are to come, because I know you're working on a couple. And I know you also offer some things as a result of the book. So please share with us how we can keep in touch.
Yeah, well, Kim Sorrelle, I'm literally the only Kim Sorrelle spelled my way in the entire world because my last name has way too many letters. It has two R's, two E's, two L's, so Rrelle. So if you remember that, kimsorrelle.com is my website. I've got lots of resources there, but one thing that I have there is a free 14-day love challenge. And it's free. Go to my website. Just you'll get it. And people that have done it, it can be pretty transformational. And it's only 14 days, and it's a small thing every day. And so based again on the love chapter, so that's available. But yeah, everything's on my website. My YouTube channel probably is the best way if you want to see me. And it's just Kim Sorrelle, because again, I'm the only one, so easy to find. But my TV show and podcast, everything is on there, and other fun stuff. So yeah.
I'm glad for you. You have a unique name. You would think my name should be unique as Cecil Taylor, but if you go search, there is a very famous jazz pianist named Cecil Taylor. So you're going to get 90 things of him and one thing of me. So maybe I should use my middle name. But anyway, yeah. But Kim, it's been a delight to have you on the podcast today. I'm so excited to read your book, to finally get to meet you, meet the woman behind the words. And I recommend people take a look at this, because it's really transformational, as we discussed today. And that's what we want. We want transformation in the world. And that's what a lot of this discussion has been. So thank you again for being on the Practical Faith Academy.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. You're amazing, like I said at the beginning, and I so appreciate this.
I'm so pleased that Kim Sorrelle could join me on this episode. I was looking forward to her appearance, and she did not disappoint. Next up on the Practical Faith Academy podcast in the first half of July will be Larry Onan. He has written a book on how to live and give intentionally. It's a stewardship book that only mentions money in one chapter. As you can tell, his idea is to purposefully live every day as a steward of all we have. Please check the show notes for new offerings from Cecil Taylor Ministries, including a questionnaire to help you determine whether you are parenting in unison, and a way to receive the brand new Unison Parenting newsletter. I invite you to also register for the 2 regular newsletters from my ministry. I'll send you a free gift when you sign up for those 2 free newsletters. Until next time, remember, God sends you into the world every day.